What is and what does WBS mean? WBS is a work breakdown system, and it's a way of referencing your tasks so that you can explain them, add further information, document them outside really of Microsoft Project. Now by default, all of your tasks are given a number, and we can see that down the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. But those numbers bear no relevance to the hierarchy that each of your tasks is involved in. For example, vacuum the cobwebs here is a subtask of the empty room, but as far as the task IDs are concerned, it's just task 7 and task 1. Using the work breakdown system, we see a hierarchical system of numbering. Now, if we stick with the default system and don't actually look at creating our own, we can see the current WBS numbers by actually just inserting the column. So if I right-click a current column, choose Insert, and from the list of available columns, I'm going to type WBS, so it brings me to the correct place, and I see WBS as an optional field. If I double-click, it will then insert that field. Now here you can see the default WBS system in place. It's using a 0 for the project summary task, and then each of the sub-tasks of the project summary, which are in fact summary tasks of their own, are given the first number. So 1 is empty the room, 2 is prep room, 3 is the furniture, and 4 is the launch night. The subtasks then within that summary effectively become sub-numbered. So we can see 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, meaning that this is task 7 of the summary task 1. So there is a way of referencing, therefore, the hierarchical nature of your project. And you could then reference that externally to project and say, I'm referencing task 1.7, which is the 7th task within the first project summary task. Now these numbers at the moment when you're using the default numbering don't stay fixed. By fixed I mean they shouldn't change. So we have here task 1.4, which is actually task ID 5 within project. If I insert a task above that, we see that the WBS numbers get renumbered. So now empty room milestone is 1.8, whereas previously it was 1.7. Because the new task is inserted, takes the next numerical order, which is 4, and all the others are bumped along 1. Now that is not ideal. If we insert a new task, what we don't want to have to do is rewrite the whole documentation that goes with this project. A new task should pick up the next numeric value at the end of the list. So it should know that it's in project summary 1, so it should have a 1, and then it should be 0.8. So it's the next task in the list as far as the documentation is concerned. So using the default system does not keep that system in place. We would need to create our own WBS naming system, which we can achieve in Microsoft Project very, very easily. Now the whole point in having these WBS codes is for referencing your tasks externally to Microsoft Project with what hopefully would be a unique reference. So if we inserted the WBS column as we have here, we could then take our data, let's just click here to select the whole table, copy that, move around to Excel, and then paste quite happily into an Excel spreadsheet where we then see the WBS column, task type, task name, duration, start date, end date, predecessor, and resources. Effectively taking with it all the column values that we've just highlighted. You could then delete the data that you're not interested in and add to each of your references here a much deeper glossary and explanation of what's actually happening within your project. Now we could do that in Excel or we could do that in Word, but by keeping that WBS code, 1.4 would be our new task in the documentation and in Microsoft Project, and there would be a marry up between the two. So going back to our project file, that's what the WBS is for, the work breakdown system. It gives you that hierarchical breakdown of your tasks so you can reference and see which group it's within, which subtask within which project summary. And if there were 3 levels of embedding, then we would see 1.1.1, 1.1.2, 1.1.3, etc. So we would be able to embed really to multiple levels if required.